Assistant Commissioner of Police and head of the Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch, same place we call PSTEB, Mr. Gary McKenzie. Mr. McKenzie. So if it's 2018, why do we, or us Jamaicans, are calling it the New Road Traffic Act when we're in the year 2023?
Well, it is new because it was not commissioned as yet. So even though it was passed from in 2018, it really did not come into.
When a police officer stops someone on the road, what are the proper procedures they should follow? It's a 500K fine. That's the fine, 500K. Give us an example of this. Do you think that the price increase on tickets for various offenses is an effective strategy to get road users to comply?
It is part of the strategy.
I am the one, the way you turn down the
Private motor vehicles, the law maintains that a child seat restraint should be in place.
Sometimes when individuals are stopped by police officers, they are immediately told to step outside of the vehicle. Should the driver step outside of the vehicle?
This is the style of my life. Me have the number one career of my life. No gunman can pop off tonight. When my armor squatted them in a denim and stripe.
Hey guys, it's your girl Queen Cop and welcome back to another Love Chat. Today's guest is Assistant Commissioner of Police and head of the Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch, same place we call PSTEB, Mr. Gary McKenzie. Mr. McKenzie's responsibilities encompass traffic management, critical incident response, crash investigation, speed enforcement, road safety education, traffic ticketing, and data management, and a whole host. Welcome to Love Chat, Mr. McKenzie. How are you feeling?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm feeling very good.
Okay, nice. So we're just gonna go into it right away. But before so, I'm just gonna ask you, how long have you been a member of the JCF, and how long have you been at PSTEB?
Well, I've been in the JCF for about 33 and a half years. And I've been at PSTEB for 2 years.
For 2 years, okay, fair enough. And what inspired you to become a police officer? I know it's a long time ago, but that memory must still
Well,
be
it was
there.
quite funny because I had always wanted to be an electrical engineer, but
Really?
when I was about 15, a lady who attended the same church that I did said to me that you're going to be a police officer because I was always dressed with my shirts in my pants and so on.
Well, neat.
And so, you know, even though I actually commenced CAST at the time, which is now UTech,
Yes.
to do that particular course, destiny had it that I joined the police force, and it has been good so far.
And you don't regret it any at
No,
all, right?
not at all.
And if you could do the training over again, would you do it?
I would. I've done quite a bit of training apart from basic training. You know, I went on to Mobile Reserve. I've done a number of training stints on courses with the JDF and so on. So I enjoy training whilst
Apparently you do.
Yeah.
All right, sir. Okay, so let's get into the meat of the matter. For this episode, we are solely focusing on the Road Traffic Act of 2018. Right?
Yes.
2018, right?
Right,
Okay,
right.
I'm glad you said right. So if it's 2018, why do we, or us Jamaicans, are calling it the New Road Traffic Act when we're in the year 2023?
Well, it is new because it was not commissioned as yet. So even though it was passed from in 2018, it really did not come into effect until the 1st of February this year.
So what's the difference with the older Road Traffic Act and this one?
Well, there is quite a bit of difference. There are enhancements in terms of penalties and fines, and there are some new offenses that actually come on stream. So those things will make it different. Also, the support systems for the various offenses are also enhanced,
Okay.
and that will make it different.
Pretty straightforward. Cool. Can a driver get a ticket for a passenger who is not wearing a seatbelt?
Yes, because now the driver is responsible for the passengers that are in the vehicle that he or she is driving.
And I'm glad you said the driver is responsible. So the next question is, what are some of the responsibilities of the driver?
Well, let us understand that a driver is responsible for the vehicle that he or she is driving. So firstly, the driver needs to know that they are qualified to drive that particular vehicle. In other words, if it is a motor truck, you can't have a license to drive only a car. Also, the driver is responsible to ensure that the vehicle is in the condition that it ought to be in.
So the vehicle should be fit.
The vehicle should be fit, right?
All right. What's the latest update with having a child seat in the vehicle, and what age a child or children should be in a child seat? At what age?
Well, the latest update is that it is the safest way of carrying a child. That is the first thing we want everybody to understand. Number two, as it relates to private motor vehicles, the law maintains that a child seat restraint should be in place, and when the child gets bigger, then a booster, and of course if the child reaches the size to be held in a seat belt, we expect that to be worn. As it relates to public passenger vehicle, which was the main bone of contention, so to speak, that is being reviewed, and so we are relaxing that prosecutions for backseat of public passenger vehicles.
Okay, so that is being reviewed. So until we get further update, then police officers will not ticket individuals who doesn't have the children in the car seat in public passenger vehicle.
Public passenger vehicle, right?
All right, good. All right. So, at what age an individual is permitted to drive in the front passenger seat?
Well, the best thing is for persons who reach the height that they are able to see for themselves and make proper observation. Outside of that, so in other words, the seat belt should be able to be fitted across the person's chest.
Okay, cool.
And if that is not the case, then they shouldn't be driving in the front seat.
Okay. So, as you mentioned, the seatbelt should fit properly across, and they should be able to have a view of the road. What if the individual is actually an adult, but is small in stature?
Well, I would suppose that the seat would have to be adjusted because it is very important that when someone looks through their front windscreen, that they have a particular view, to include being able to look down on the roadway. Okay,
cool. In relation to motor vehicle license, what do we call grace period?
Well, grace period is a period, a 1 month period after when the registration date has expired on the registration certificate or on the decal that is actually placed on the windscreen.
Okay.
And so by law you have a month grace. So say for example it ends on the 31st of January, then you have the entire month of February. When it comes to the 1st of March, then legally it is unlicensed and subject to seizure and prosecution.
Okay, so in other words, our citizens have a right to grace period, and it is not on the discretion of the police officer?
It is not a discretion, it is a legal right, so to speak.
Okay, hear that, guys? It is legal right. When a police officer stops someone on the road, what are the proper procedures they should follow?
Well, the police is governed by several policies, and one of the most important one is the police public interaction policy. And embedded in that policy is the fact that when the police stop someone, they ought to greet them, good morning sir, good morning miss, and tell the motorist why they were stopped, and then they may proceed with certain instructions.
Okay.
Right.
Sometimes when individuals are stopped by police officers, they are immediately told to step outside of the vehicle. Should the driver step outside of the vehicle?
Well, the expectation is that the police officer ought to, communicate with the driver as to what is the procedure around that particular stop, because there are many different stops.
Yes.
So there could be reasonable suspicion that the vehicle is transporting something, and if that is so, such a suspicion needs to be told to the person. If there is for some reason any other danger or if there is for necessity in terms of risk, depending on where the vehicle has been stopped and so on, then we expect the officer to articulate that. It is not sufficient to just stop someone and say, step out of your vehicle. We have to respect the rights of people. And, you know, we are governed foremost by the Constitution. It gives people the right to move freely.
Yes.
And so if the police stop someone, then it is important to communicate properly to the motorist. And, you know, 99% of the time, the motorist understands and will cooperate. That's my experience for
sir,
over many years.
We have to be frank when we're speaking, so you know, we have seen several videos circulating on social media where a police officer would have indicated to someone to step outside the vehicle. Person might ask, why am I stepping out? And the police officer not giving the person the answer that they want to hear. Is it right, or is it in law that the citizen can move off from that scene without the police giving the instruction?
The police give it, if someone is asked what is the reason and they are told something, right, it is not for the motorist to decide whether or not that is so or not. If the motorist feels or is of the view that the officer is doing something which is against what the law requires, then they should make note of that to take other actions. But it is not wise for anyone to drive away from the police, because we do not know at any time what may be in a particular vehicle. And if I stop a vehicle with the intention to carry out a search, then I'm going to search it. It is not going to be allowed to leave, because I may have information or intelligence that it may be carrying contraband, albeit that I may not have communicated properly.
To the person.
Right.
Okay. What's the difference though with demanding a document and requesting a document?
The truth is that when it comes back to what we have been discussing a while ago, I don't know that the police should stop anyone and you know, beg of them to do anything. The term request may be used as a matter of courtesy rather than an instruction. And so we have to look at what really entails. If someone is driving a motor vehicle and for example, they commit a breach and they are stopped and told, the policeman may say, sir, I am going to give you a ticket and I am requesting your documents. That request is not really begging to give you the document. That is really tantamount to an instruction, because there was a breach. Right? That is against a random stop, which the police, for all intents and purposes, should not be doing a random stop. Right? So there's no random stop. Stops must be informed by things, by something. And, you know, I'm quite sure that there are substantial and, of course, legal and lawful things that persons can be stopped for.
Yes, that's quite so. Okay, what level of darkness in tint is acceptable on vehicle, and does the legislation provide for having tint on the windscreen?
Well, what the law provides for is what is known as visual light transmission, and that for the front, what we call the windscreen, the front windscreen, that is 80% visual light transmission. That is measured by use of a tint meter. For the front passenger glasses, those are 70% VLT, and for all other glasses, 40%. So that is how they are measured. One of the things that we are recognizing is that vehicles are not coming with full clear glasses. Again, there is some level of tint. The truth is that the tint can't be outside of what the law requires. And so it is very important that purchasers of motor vehicle must ensure that they are aware of what the VLT is on a particular vehicle.
So for someone who didn't know all of this, will they will they will there be some leniency on them when it comes down to ticketing?
Well, there is this saying that I'm sure you have heard, there's no excuse for breaking the law,
Okay.
or for ignorance
Ignorance
of
is
the
no
law.
excuse.
Right. So the truth is that it is really up to every one of us who own a motor vehicle to understand what the requirements are and seek to get them in order before
agree.
they go on the roadway.
I
It's as
agree.
simple as that.
And all this information, where can we find all of this information?
Well, this information is in the Road Traffic Act and regulation.
And where can we find the regulations,
And
the Road Traffic Act?
well, it is on, you can go to Google. We go to Google for many things, and
It's right there.
you can go on the website, the Ministry of Justice or Ministry of Transport and Mining, and you will be able to see those.
So guys, I'll put the link to the Road Traffic Act down below. So moving on, is it legal to modify motorcycles, for example, modifying the mufflers of a yeng for it to make a loud noise? And how does the current legislation treat with this?
Well, there is, if a motorcycle muffler or any other muffler on any other vehicle is making noise that is beyond the acceptable level, and for motorcycle and small cars it is 85 decibels. For medium trucks it's 90, and for large trucks 95. That of course is measured by the use of a decibel meter. And if it is outside of that, then it is a fault or a defect for which you can be ticketed for.
Okay.
And so it is very important that persons do not put on mufflers, or in other words, some persons really do not modify the muffler. Some do it for the engine as well.
Okay.
And in any event, any modification that causes noise to exceed a particular level, then that is a breach.
It is a breach. If one has an expired fitness and need to get the vehicle to the depot, how should I get the vehicle to the depot if the vehicle is unfit to be driven on the road?
Well, once a vehicle has been passed, it is really a matter of not having a valid certificate of fitness.
Yes.
Technically, it doesn't mean that the vehicle is unfit. The truth is that, though, if you drive without a valid certificate of fitness, you are likely to be ticketed. It is not necessarily a seizable offense unless there is a suspected defect, and the authority of the police is to take take the vehicle to the nearest examination depot and have it examined. If it is found to be defective, then the certifying examiner will point that out and issue a certificate of defect. The plates would be ordered to be removed, and you will have to go and get the defect remedied. Then take it back to the depot. It is checked, a certificate of defect remedied is issued, and then you would take back that to the police, who will then give you back the registration plate.
Okay, cool. So, sir, but how can they get the vehicle, or what would you suggest? For them to
Well,
get
the
vehicle?
fact of the matter is that you can actually renew that up to 1 month
before
before.
it
Right.
expires. So you see, you can renew it before it expires. You do not have to wait until the last minute to get it done. Code D110, 110 from the regulation states that operating motor vehicle specified in Regulation 2, Section 59, subsection 1, in time, this is what it says, in time when motor vehicle cannot be clearly discerned at a distance of 150 meters, 500K fine. That's the fine, 500K. Give us an example of this.
Okay.
Or explain it for the audience.
Right, it is very simple. So, firstly, there was an error with the figure. It is actually $50,000
so
in
it's
the
indeed an
regulation.
error.
Right. The next thing is that it refers to a particular section. In other words, the offense, it does not stand alone. And if you read it, it will refer to, for example, large equipment type units, such as a truck with a crane and that sort of a thing. Now, if someone is operating that sort of vehicle and it is not discernible, meaning that,
It can be easily recognized.
right, you know, it is either obstructed or maybe it's in the dark and so on. Now, such a vehicle easily can cause danger to persons who are approaching.
Yes.
So that is the type of thing they are talking about. So if that is not discernible from 150 meters, and of course there is nothing to indicate, such as signs and all that sort of a thing,
Okay.
then that is a breach.
So, sir, in a case where the other day a person got a ticket for 500K, will that be thrown out of the court since it's an error on the government part?
Well, more than like, well, it's not necessarily an error
Well,
on the
the f-
government
the f-
part. It is you know, a system error, as you know,
Yeah.
when things are being typed and
Typed,
that
there's
sort of a
human
thing,
error,
or
so to speak.
inputted in a system. But the court more than likely will withdraw such an offense. I am not able to say, you know, I am not the judge,
Yes.
but more than likely that is what will happen.
Okay, cool. Code D121, pouring petrol with engine running or with naked light attracts a fine of 4,000, section 89, subsection 3. Is this in relation to whilst you are at the gas station getting petrol? And how does the police go ahead to prosecute?
Well, it did not specify a petrol station,
It doesn't.
but it could be a petrol station. Let us understand that that in of itself is very, very dangerous.
Dangerous.
That is the first thing. Secondly, you said, oh, the police do that for a petrol station. That is easy. It is a public place. And the police have jurisdiction
On
to
public
monitor on all public places, which is specified in the Road Traffic Act. So the police simply go and, having observed what is happening, accost the driver.
Okay.
And of course, anyone who is doing that would be instructed to discontinue, and the appropriate offenses or prosecutions can be made.
Okay. So I wanted you to emphasize on the fact that the petrol station is indeed a public place because it is used by the public.
It is used by the
So
public. The
police
public have
powers,
free, yes,
free access. So the police
just like in a
powers-
plaza, in a parking lot, that, you know, people can go through and so on, without any restriction. Then the police are empowered to act.
Okay, cool. So, section 121, use of electronic communication devices while driving. A person shall not drive or operate a vehicle on a road while using an electronic communication device, except where used in hands-free mode. Does not apply when vehicle is off-road, lawfully parked, not in motion, not impeding traffic. It also says that Section 5, subsection 1 shall not apply to a person driving or operating a motor vehicle while the vehicle is being used as an emergency vehicle. A question that I was asked, if one has a device that is not a cell phone, can you still be ticketed for that device?
What type of device,
It communicates,
for example?
for example, like a camera.
Definitely. I mean, you should not have any electronic device whilst you are driving. As a matter of fact, the intention is for your hands to be free, so that you can focus. And one of the things I wish to highlight is that we are seeing a number of persons placing the hands-free set on the dashboard in their line of sight. That is illegal, because you are not right. It should not be in your line of sight, because that is obstructing your view actually. And if something is playing on it, it can distract you. The objective is not for you to be distracted.
Okay. So
Good.
when you say your line of sight, do you mean directly in front of you or right across the dashboard?
Right across the dashboard.
Okay,
Because you need one of the things, the manufacturers were quite right in what they did in terms of how they construct windscreens. They construct it so that you can see from left
both
to right,
sides.
because traffic comes from left to right, whether it be pedestrian or vehicular traffic. And you ought also to be able to view because your vehicle is moving forward or going backward. So it is very important that your line of sight is free. And if something is in front of you and your eyes are going to actually be focused on it some way or somehow.
So what if it's a case you're actually using the GPS?
Well, the GPS is something, the first thing is that you look at that intermittently and it speaks to you as well. So that is not so much of a difficulty. Just like how you glance to your side view mirrors. That's how you are expected to use a GPS. Or if you have to be studious.
You'd have to use it on, most persons use a GPS on their phones and they mount it on the dashboard.
Right, but I'm saying you will not be focusing on it straight.
Okay, so
You will not be doing that. And if you find yourself doing that, then you can't use it properly, or you should pull over and study it.
Okay,
And then drive again.
quite so. For persons who have several outstanding tickets going way back, like from 2010, how can they clear these tickets, and at what stage is a warrant issued?
Well, the tickets that are to be dealt with are from January 2018 to January 31st, 2023. Beyond that, those tickets are null and void.
Okay, so they're no
Right.
longer in the system.
Right. They are in the system, but
Yeah,
will not be enforced.
They will not
And
be enforced, okay.
for those that are outstanding, what is required is that they get in touch with the courts. It is the courts that deal with that, the court administration division. And
Where can they find this? The court administration division?
well, if they go on the Ministry of Justice website, then they can find that, right? Or what they can do is to send an email to customer service at CAD dot, I believe is .gov.jm.
Okay. So we're boiling down to the final questions. Do you think that the price increase on tickets for various offenses is an effective strategy to get road users to comply?
It is part of the strategy, not it won't be a silver bullet, but it along with the fact that warrants will be issued for persons and their licenses will be suspended. You know, the combination of those could serve as a deterrent.
Okay. So what's one message you would like to leave with road users? Something that we haven't said throughout the video.
Well, what I would like to say is that we own Jamaica. This is where we live. We should seek to make it safe. And one of the ways to do that is for us to conform with what the law requires. And in doing so, we will ensure that we are safe, because safety begins with us.
Yes.
And when we talk about public safety, apart from just road traffic, we have to ensure that we are safe all around. We need to look out for each other.
That's
We
true.
need to ensure that, you know, where we see something is going wrong, we do not say it's our business, but we ensure that we point it out and we help the system.
Yes.
There should be nothing about any informal culture. We
None of
have
that. Get rid of
311 that we can call,
Crime
and
Stop.
you know, Crime Stop, you don't need to give any information. It has been quite successful for near 30 years. So let us do that. Let us seek to make our country safe and
Okay.
orderly.
I couldn't have said it any better. Thank you, Assistant Commissioner of Police, Mr. Gary McKenzie, for taking the time out to speak with us on this episode of Love Chat. Have you ever watched YouTube videos and you hear them say, like, comment, share? And
Right.
say, okay, I want you to take us out. It's your channel. Take us out.
Okay, so, you know, I enjoyed all of this, and I really want to say to all the viewers that you need to subscribe so that you can get all the very important information that will
Nice.
make us safe
Nice.
and keep us well as citizens of this country.
And I'm going to add, remember to like, comment, and share.
Right.
Bye. Say bye, sir.
Bye.